Hi there, welcome. My name is Jason, and the plant that I have to share with you today is called Beaucarnea recurvata. This is also known as the Ponytail Palm, and this lovely whimsical plant makes an amazing addition to any home or office space. I love this plant. This plant originates from Mexico, and it originates from dry and arid conditions where it's very hot and there's not a lot of water. So part of the reason why it has a swollen trunk here is because it's used to hanging on to water. It knows how to hold on to water. So this is a very drought tolerant plant. Do keep that in mind when considering the watering needs of this plant. As far as the size of this plant reaches up to 15 feet tall in nature. However, in your home or office space, indoors, this plant will grow relatively slow. So when you go to purchase it, purchase the size that you're looking for this space that you have set aside. In the landscape, you can plant this plant so long as you don't get really hard winters. The plant cold hardiness for this plant is 27 to 30 degrees Fahrenheit. That's pushing it a little bit. If you get a hard freeze, I would really consider growing this just indoors. As far as choosing the lighting location for your plant, indoors, this plant wants bright indirect light to part sun. And outdoors, this plant likes bright shade to sun. You can do full sun so long as your summers aren't like blazing hot. The plant should, still survive in really bright full sun spot. I just would recommend bright shade to sun. As far as the watering requirements, this is a drought tolerant plant. So indoors, when you water this plant, allow the soil to dry out about 60 to 80% in between waterings. So after you water the plant, give it a lift or a tip so that you know what the saturated soil feels like before you come back to water it again, because when you come back, you'll know the difference. As far as the winter watering though, do keep in mind that you want to water this plant less frequently and you want to water it actually less. Like for this, I would just give it like maybe half a cup of water once every 2 to 3 weeks in the winter if my home is very cold. If you have the heater blazing all the time and the soil dries out, you'll be able to tell when you come back, to find out how dry the soil is. But do make sure that the soil is pretty, drying out pretty good in between waterings and then it's not just staying wet. Outside, I recommend deep and infrequent waterings. So because this is a drought tolerant plant, it's a lovely addition to xeriscape gardens and rock gardens, drought tolerant gardens. Do keep that in mind. As far as fertilization goes, I like to use an all-purpose indoor houseplant fertilizer or a cactus succulent fertilizer. Type that I like to buy is made by Espoma. This is an organic indoor houseplant fertilizer. You can also use their organic cactus or succulent fertilizer. I like to purchase these. However, you can get whatever houseplant or cactus succulent soil you like. This plant's not too fussy. As far as the soil that I recommend for this plant, I'd recommend using a cactus succulent soil because it wants that good drainage. You can do 2/3 cactus succulent soil to 1/3 indoor plant potting soil. The soil pH desired for this plant is a 6.5 to a 7.5, which is slightly acidic to neutral. So it's not very fussy about the soil pH. As far as toxicity, this plant has been rated as a non-toxic plant, which is pretty awesome. It's been rated as non-toxic to people, cats, and dogs. So it's one of your safer plant selections. However, do note that if you have a cat, this looks like a big ball of grass to them. So it looks like a buffet. So, and they do go after it. I have a cat and she loves to chew the leaf ends. Fortunately, it hasn't gone too much past that. I mean, as you can see, it still looks very nice. I have this in a plastic pot. It's a 6-inch plastic pot. And then I have a saucer in this decorative pot. But yeah, the leaves, she's been pretty nice about that. She doesn't chew on the bark. It's just the leaves look like grass, so they chew on them. So just know that. As far as a tip when selecting your plant, do know that when you go select your plant that you should check the base of it. Do make sure that it's very hard and firm. If it's soft in any spots, you may already have some root rot going on and you'd want to select a different variety, Beaucarnea, because you want one where it's very firm. so that you know that there's no root rot. Sometimes these are planted deep in the trade. In other words, the soil line is above the root line. And so the root line is essentially, if you were to go down the trunk, once you hit the roots, that's where the soil should be. The soil should not be above the root line, because when you go to water the plant, you're gonna wet a bunch of soil that is resting on the trunk or the crown of this plant and can increase the probability of root rot. If you do find a really healthy Beaucarnea and the soil, it is potted deep, just remove the top layer of soil until you get to the roots so that the soil line and the root line are in the same level. This one tip alone will dramatically increase the probability of success for you in this lovely plant. I think that's about it. If there's any questions that you have about this plant, please feel free to let me know in the comments below. And once again, this is Beaucarnea recurvata, also known as the Ponytail Palm. And my name is Jason. Thanks again for hanging out.